SportG.
ChristopherMedia.net.
If you look around, you'll see the world can be pretty smart. Okay, very smart. At Capella University, we think education should be smart too. That's why we're reshaping online learning with our FlexPath format. You can set your own deadlines, take classes at your own pace, even leverage your previous experience to move faster. So when it comes to earning your bachelor's degree, you know what kind of choice to make. A smart one. Visit capella.edu to learn more. Capella University. Don't just learn, learn smarter.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Welcome to SportG,
the show that gives you half-ass sports fans giving their half-ass opinions.
And now, here are your hosts.
All right, it's Fantasy Hack for Week 5. I'm Chris. JR and Jack are with me.
JR in the house.
Jack in the house.
All right. So, yeah, interesting week of fantasy football, gentlemen. I mean, we had the whole Titans-Steelers thing ended up playing out. We had a little excitement on the weekend with Cam Newton getting COVID. False positive with the New Orleans Saints almost threatened the Lions game. So, yeah, it's definitely a weekend. A lot of people scrambling, things like that. I mean, I know the league that we're in, I had New England's defense and I had Kelsey as my tight end. So I had to no big loss here. I had to drop Devontae Freeman. I think I picked up the Green Bay defense just in case. Had to move Kelsey to the flex spot. If this is your first year playing fantasy football, welcome. It's not always like this, but yeah, it's an interesting weekend, at least on my end. And I went 1-4 too. But how was your guys' weekend?
7-4. Now I'm in a league that we have 4 different divisions, so basically 4 separate leagues, but we play as one big mega league. And then after, as the playoffs progress, there's you compare scores and there's a final champion of all 4. So all 4 commissioners had to get together and figure out how we were going to get through this house of cards known as COVID was. We actually had everybody bench their Patriots and Chiefs in case that game didn't go off. And then we had them declare the Chiefs and Patriots they would have wanted to play. So last night, as soon as the games were over, we had to go in and substitute the declared players in. But we got through it.
Oh, you guys did that designated backup thing?
Yeah, but I had to go in. It was a Yahoo league, and you can go in after the fact and change the lineup as the commissioner. But everything was on the up and up. We have a group chat, so everybody has visibility to everybody who declared. It was just, an extra step of just tons of messages. And when the false positive and the Saints Detroit game came up, we were about ready just to throw up our arms and give up on this thing. But fortunately, it all came together. When we woke up Sunday morning, we had a real day of football. And that's what it's all about. But I went 7-4, not too bad. 3-1 in the SportG League, so happy about that.
Yeah, I'm having a tough time in that league because I lost CMC. CMC was essentially carrying me. And, yeah, it's been tough. Especially too, like I said, I had a nice mix of Chiefs going into that game and some Pats. So yeah, it was definitely a shuffling act for me. And I'm winning. I'm 2-2 in the big money league, and I'm 3-1 in another money league. So as far as the leagues that I pay for, I'm still in good shape. How'd you do, Jack?
Well, I had a good week, but I have a lot of Nicholas Jamal Chubb, and he decided to hurt his MCL, and he's going to be out for 3 weeks. So I'm going to be combing waiver wires.
I think it might be longer than 3 weeks. That's pretty optimistic.
Yeah, well.
But we'll see.
I'm trying to be optimistic here. But the Browns, I don't know. They have a lot of running backs. I might have to pick up – well, Kareem Hunt's actually on most rosters, so I may be screwed.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that because I think it's – what is Dearness?
Dearness Johnson.
Dearness Johnson.
I think.
A household name, at least this week he will be.
So I guess – should we –
I had a pretty good days from, of all teams, the Jaguars I started. James Robinson, not a bad day, and DJ Chark.
DJ Chark back from injury, back from the dead. He's been kind of absent this season.
He had a pretty good day. Let's see what his stats were. He had 2 touchdowns and 9 targets, 8 receptions on 9 targets for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Bungles. So happy to have him back.
And then who the hell is James Robinson, besides the number 6 running back in fantasy football? Where'd this guy come from?
He's money. He's racking up points every week.
He is.
This week. 17 rushes, 75 yards, 4 for 4 in the air for 32. That's over 100 yards. This is ridiculous. Look at 4 weeks. His points, 24 points, 58 points, 29 points, 28 points.
And this guy was
now,
what?
That's on Yahoo, so it's inflated. But he's on 90% rostered now, and he was probably nothing. No, did anybody really draft this guy?
No, he's what? Leonard Fournette's backup?
I don't know if I drafted him or I picked him up after week 1, but I was on him pretty early, and it's worked out.
For me, he was
a Hail Mary. I picked him up. I wasn't expecting anything like this.
Yeah, he was a waiver wire pickup for me, so I didn't draft him either.
And I got a lot of Joshua Kelly, and I think he had 3 yards last week. But now that there's some injuries on the Chargers, that might open things up.
Yeah, that may change.
So let's talk about those injuries. Austin Eckler, not looking good.
Yeah, he'll be gone for a while.
Who else went down?
Nick Chubb.
Chubb was the big one. Of course, Cam Newton might even play this week because he's been asymptomatic. But he obviously missed this week with COVID.
Kenyon Drake's got something going on. He's not injured, but he's not 100%.
I think a lot of Chase Edmonds pickups will be done on waivers this week.
Yeah.
If he's available, grab him because Drake is not getting it done for whatever reason.
Hey, Sony Michel all of a sudden on the IR. Lazard all of a sudden last week having some crazy surgery. And he's out indefinitely.
Picked him up, put him in the lineup, and then he was out. So I literally cut him in all these leagues that I had just picked him up.
Yeah.
And then I picked up MVS, who did another dismal showing. I just can't work with that guy anymore.
Yeah, I dropped him this week.
I'm done with him. I don't care. They say somebody's got to catch the ball in Green Bay, and that's true, but it just doesn't seem to ever be him.
O.J. Howard, just when he finally starts realizing where the end zone is. See ya.
Speaking of the end zone, how about the Green Bay tight end? Holy moly, 3 touchdowns.
Oh, what's that guy's? I got a bunch of claims for him. What's his name? Someone with an R?
It was something with an R. I was looking at it earlier. Let me see here.
Yep,
there it is. Robert Tanya.
Oh, yes.
He will be a popular ad this week. If you need a tight end, you could do a lot worse. But that's ridiculous. You never know. He could be a 1-week wonder, too.
But he's tight end number 2 on the season right now. That's crazy. Like he's right behind Kelsey and right before Waller.
Yeah, and on the other side of the coin, even though the Eagles pulled one out against the Niners, Zach Ertz was a non-factor. What a disappointment that was for Ertz owners.
Did the Eagles really pull one out against the Niners? Or was that just
4 catches for 9 yards on 5 targets? 9 yards.
Who was that?
Pretty much Zach Ertz. I think the Niners game plan figured he was the only thing they had, so they shut him down. And the guy from the practice squad caught a bomb in that game. He's like
Travis Fulgham.
Travis Fulgham.
I may or may not have some claims in for that guy.
Well, I saw a great stat as an Eagles fan that in one game, Travis Fulgham had more catches and yards than J.J. Arcega-Whiteside has in like 2 seasons.
Aren't you in first now because of that win?
Yes, and the Cowboys are in third. So I took to the internet and did a bunch of trolling. Carson Wentz, worst passer rate in the NFL. Prescott he leads the NFL in passing yards, and he's third in the NFC East. And we have a cast of idiots running around a wide receiver.
Their defense.
Being in first place in the NFC East is like trying to win at Monopoly with Baltic and Mediterranean.
Well, this just reminds me of the NFC East of back like 10 years ago when what? Or maybe it wasn't even 10 years ago. Didn't Washington win the division at 7-9, like maybe 5 years ago?
Yep. But that being said, it's still the only division in football where every team in the division has a Super Bowl win. So we got that going for us. But for now, the Eagles are the slumlords of the East.
Yeah.
Baltic and Mediterranean Avenue belongs to us.
Yeah.
And, another guy that is dead to me now, A.J. Green, I'm done with you.
Yep. See ya. You're old and busted.
Tyler Boyd has taken over the reins. A.J. Green is now officially a dinosaur.
Yeah.
It's time to cut bait. 93% rostered in ESPN. I got to think that some people are going to dump him.
It's 2015. He's a great fantasy player. Now, not so much. I tell you, Bengals. Well, we're on the Bengals. Joe Mixon, where you been?
Oh, the guy I played against in my money league benched Mixon this week.
Oh.
He also benched Mike Evans as well.
Yes.
Slept in.
Gotta love that.
Yeah,
He took the L. He made some very unwise choices, and I was more than happy to reap the benefits of those choices.
What other highlights we got from this week?
Well, I was going to say New England, Damian Harris, 100 yards, 17 rushes.
Yeah,
that's just it's a carousel up there, so I'm not even going to try that. But I mean, James White will do something next week. Some guy that was working at Walmart 2 weeks ago will do something next week as well.
Yeah,
it's just I don't know.
Well, Sonny Michel comes back. That's it for him, right? He'll go back.
Yeah, probably.
Oh,
being fourth in line.
Michel's on IR, isn't he? He's going to be out for a while.
Yeah, but IR this season, IR can be anywhere from 3 weeks to so.
Yeah, remember IR used to be you're out for the whole season, you're done. Mm-hmm. Now it's like I need a couple weeks off.
I wonder if that'll stay post COVID because that's a COVID rule. But
yeah, I heard on Sirius XM today, I heard somebody proposing a bubble thing for all the practice squad players in the league, so because each team can only protect 4, so it could be like a permanent, like a weekly tryout in the bubble. As teams get injuries, they have a whole pool of players to pick from out of all the practice squads in the league. Sounded kind of a pretty crazy idea, but
it would work.
It's a crazy year, isn't it?
Hey, bubble worked in 2 leagues.
Cam Akers is set to return to action this week.
Ooh.
So now you got 3-headed monster to try to pick a card, any card.
So that now means drop all Rams running backs.
Pretty much. Yep. If the water is not getting any clearer, it's getting just more murky.
Rams are in that category of like the Lions, the Ravens, like where you want none of their backfield because it's a committee.
Yep. I dropped J.K. Dobbins today in a league, and I hated to do it. I mean, he's no value to me right now. I don't know whether he's going to get 2-3 touchdowns or 5 yards. Done. Cut bait.
Yeah, we're already a month into the fantasy season here. Believe it or not, next week's week 6. We're almost halfway through the season. You ain't got time to wait around. All right?
Nope.
You got a producer, you're gone. It's fantasy football. There's a lot of guys who are getting cut this week because, all right, cool, you had a great first 2 weeks. The following 2 weeks have been shit. Later, I got to go. I need to win. So should we get into waivers?
Well, I was going to say there's 2 tight ends I have in mind. I was going to say we've had a look at Dalton Schultz over in Dallas for a couple weeks, and I mean he did have 4 for 8, 72 yards and a touchdown. And Mo Alley Cox gets another touchdown against the Bears, but it is the Bears. So
Mo Alley Cox.
I got to say, Mo Alley Cox, the front runner for best football name of 2020.
I don't know.
It just sounds like a football name. Like it definitely would not be Mo Alley Cox, the bus driver. Like definitely an athlete.
Well, I think another obvious one. I know it's painful to think of any New England Patriots running back to be a steady producer, but Damian Harris did get his 100 yards on 17 carries. But
that's
when's the next time we'll see anybody get 17 carries on the Patriots? Probably won't be a while.
Yeah, because all they were trying to do yesterday was eat clock because Brian Hoyer was their quarterback and they didn't want to get killed.
Yeah. Keep the other team's offense off the field. Belichick knows what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. That was
Burn the clock down, keep the damage to the minimum.
You beat Patrick.
It almost worked until second half. I think the bottom fell out towards the second half, end of the second half.
Well, the Chief offense got going. That's what happened. But, I mean, you beat Mahomes the same way you beat Tom Brady, right? You keep him on the bench.
6-3.
Yeah.
6-3 in the third quarter.
Yeah, and it should have been 6-6 going into the locker room, but that's another conversation.
Yep.
But yeah, no, all of a sudden the Chiefs got on fire, and then it was over. But they know the formula to beat Mahomes because it's how teams used to beat Tom Brady. Keep him on the bench. That's how you beat him. Don't let him play.
So back to bye week pickups. The Chargers lost Austin Eckler for several weeks. If you've got Joshua Kelly, you're loving that. Mm-hmm. If you don't, maybe consider picking up Justin Jackson.
Yep.
He's going to be elevated to probably take an Eckler's role. The aforementioned Dalton Schultz. I know nothing. I see nothing. Schultz looks like he is an admirable replacement in that potent Dallas offense. The team with no defense, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, people are trying to put that on Dak Prescott. You can't. You can't. He threw for 500 yards, and he threw 4 touchdowns. All right, if the defense is letting 49 points by, you can throw for 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. If you're not going to win.
That defense is really bad.
Yeah,
no pressure on the quarterback. Nobody can cover. Their best linebackers are out. Sean Lee and Van Der Esch. There's that's the strength of that defense, and it's decimated. I mean, it's going to be that's why they're 1-3. It should be 1-0-4. They had that miracle comeback, although it was pretty admirable comeback this week too. They were down by a whole lot late in that game, but got to give Dak credit. He's getting points on the board, but
he's doing his job. Well, it's like when
he's padding the stats. If I was watching Undisputed this morning, Shannon Sharp, 14-14. Dak has 5 possessions. He had a total of 53 yards with the game tied. He did not make it happen when he had, the game on the line, and he waited until they were up big, and he padded the stats. It was like a Matt Stafford.
Yep, the other defense goes into a shell and plays prevent defense and gives you those 10-yarders, and he takes them.
Mm-hmm. To me, though, the situation Dax reminds me of when the last couple of seasons Verlander was here. He'd pitch lights out, but he'd get no run support. It's like, what are you going to do? You can't do everything. So but back to waiver wire pickups.
Ernest Johnson.
Yeah. When you were talking about the Chargers, and I was saying that Justin Herbert has been playing good football. 20 completions, 290, 3 touchdowns. I mean, he's had close to 50 points in the 3 games he's played.
He's fun to watch.
I picked him up. Yeah, he is fun to watch. I don't know from a fantasy perspective if he's worth it, but I mean, he's putting up some stats.
I would want him on if I was running a football team, I would want him on it, but I don't want him on my fantasy football team yet. But just watching, that kid is not scared. He's gone up against...
he was dueling with the GOAT.
Yeah, he was dueling with the GOAT.
That was fun.
He went up against Mahomes. That kid ain't scared. That kid's going to do just fine in the NFL.
Sporgy.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
Sporgy.
Yeah, well, on the other side of the coin, Julio Jones, man, he's got to be the bust of fantasy this year.
Isn't he the bust of fantasy every other year?
Seems like it. I have him in one league, thankfully only one, but oh boy, the Jets are expected to welcome Le'Veon Bell back soon. Can't wait for that. Yeah, right.
Jets football.
Hey, wait.
Did the Jets have a Monday night game now? We have 2 back-to-back primetime Jets games? Really? We're going to be forced to watch the Jets?
Ugh.
Jeez. Cruel and unusual punishment.
Wasn't there, speaking of waivers, there's a Jet that's showing up high on the... No Jets, right? No Jets for...
No.
The Jets.
I think it's a guy it's another situation where they pulled somebody off the practice squad and the guy caught a whole bunch of passes. But the waivers are really thin this week, huh?
Smith.
Yeah, they're pretty thin.
The big pick this week is We've already said Robert Tonyan, Green Bay, tight end.
And anyone at receiver?
It's so random. Let's see here.
Traquan Smith, maybe, but I think Thomas is coming back pretty soon, so that's probably not too viable.
Oh my. Okay. Yeah.
We've pretty much named everybody. Although, if you're really hurting for a quarterback, he could do a lot worse than Teddy Bridgewater. He's quietly putting up some numbers, and also putting up some numbers with his new favorite wide receiver, Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, he's making DJ Moore pretty irrelevant.
Yeah, I have Moore, and he's been a disappointment. I think Robbie Anderson's the receiver you want there. Seems to be bonded with Bridgewater. They got a good thing going there. And then
what about our
the ageless Philip Rivers?
Philip.
Bye-week replacement, maybe. But I can't remember the last time he threw for 300 yards. And I watched the game the other day, and he tried to scramble, and he is slower than me.
Oh, he's so slow.
He's 40.
This has got to be the last year for him. He can barely move. So that's about it for me for waiver picks. Anybody, any other Hail Marys you can think of?
Well, I was going to say, but let's check in on our rookies after their big games last week. Justin Jefferson had that huge monster game with 175 yards and a touchdown. Comes back after everybody picked him up. Caught 4 of 5 for 100 yards. I mean, he got his 100 yards. That's not terrible. I guess if you picked him up, you got what you were looking for. Ayuk got what? He had that one.
A hurdle.
He had that end around that resulted in 38 yards. He had a rushing touchdown. Yeah, that was that play. And then he had 2 catches for 18 yards. So, I mean, he had the touchdown, but it was kind of a fluke thing, and he only got 2 targets, so I don't know about that. But, I mean, I guess my Hail Mary of the week would be Scotty Miller for the Buccaneers. Out of nowhere, has 5 for 7, 83 yards and a touchdown. But, I mean, that's just because, Goodwin was hurt, and then Mike Evans was, hobbling around the whole game. So, I don't think that's going to last, at least until somebody gets, comes back from injury.
All right, let's review the games. Week 5 coming up.
All right. So Thursday night, what do we got? It's Tampa Bay and Chicago.
It's Nick Foles against Tom Brady again.
Nick Foles.
Replay of Super Bowl LII. Philly special. I think Brady's looking for some revenge here, and I think he's going to get it because the Bears just don't excite me.
I want to see some Josh Rosen playing time in the fourth quarter when they're up by 50. This is going to be a manslaughter.
Josh Rosen. He's still
he made his way to the Buccaneers. He's going to get a free ring.
He drove north.
Man, I really went to the Buccaneers.
So as far as who we're starting in this game, we're starting Evans. Is Brady a starter yet?
I think he was he was top 5 in fantasy this week.
He threw 5 touchdowns.
I'd jump on it. If you need a quarterback and he's available, you could do worse.
Godwin is out. Gronk is just not a thing.
Yeah, but no O.J. Howard now. It's down to Gronk and Cameron Brate. I think Gronk might go up in value, actually.
We'll see. Yeah, he might get more looks.
Yep, because we know that O.J. Howard's not getting any more looks.
Is Fournette coming back, or is he still going to be out?
Cameron Brate. So this, take a flyer on him. He's available in a lot of leagues. I know I let him go in a few. I actually tried not to pick him up, but if you're desperate, which a lot of people may be at the tight end position, and he's open, maybe give it a flyer.
Yeah, he did respectable. He was a respectable waiver wire pickup last year.
Fournette's injured, so Rojo, I think, had a pretty good day last week, didn't he?
Yeah, but no touchdown.
No, I wouldn't expect it. He's not a big guy, but he exceeded expectations. But Fournette will be back sooner or later, and then who knows what will happen there. Probably not the best backfield to be playing a fantasy running back from that Tampa Bay.
That Tampa Bay is another.
All the good players that you want on Tampa Bay are injured. You got Godwin and Evans. I don't know if Evans is playing this week. See if he can limp around one more week. I don't know. Probably short week. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. I mean, he came back after that injury, but he wasn't the same.
And then you got on the other side of the ball, you're probably not going to start Nick Foles. You'll probably start Allen Robinson. David Montgomery maybe as a flex if you really have to, but
at this point, I'm saying Montgomery's or Robinson's a flex. I'm not. If I have David Montgomery at this point, I'm looking for something. I'm looking for an upgrade.
Not much to be excited on that Bears offense about. Who knows if Foles can't get it together. Trubisky might be back, and that can't be good.
Yeah.
That'll be an interesting game, but, all the Tampa good players are injured, and there aren't really many good players on Chicago. But we'll be watching to see the rematch between Foles and Brady. That'll be fun in itself.
Yeah.
Even if they are playing with depleted rosters.
All right, moving to Sunday. Panthers at the Falcons. Oh, man, I wonder if Dan Quinn is going to have a job the next
Bill
time
O'Brien
we record.
did the big one this week. I'm surprised that Quinn was gone before O'Brien, but I think the natives are restless in Houston, and they had to sacrifice him.
Well, just what is going on in Atlanta? What is going on?
The Falcons are going on.
Dumpster fire.
I mean, Julio wasn't having a good year, but Calvin Ridley's one of the best receivers in the game this year.
He got skunked last night, didn't he?
Yeah, it was big old zero. I realize I'm saying that after he put up a zero, but he's been having a year.
Julio Jones is now pretty much on the shelf for a while, which, hey, at least you don't have to suffer through any more low-scoring outings. I'd rather replace that spot.
But, you know, it reminds me, I want out of the Russell Gage business.
Yeah.
Like, it seems that Calvin Ridley's getting the ball in that offense.
Yep. That's the receiver you want. You might get lucky with the tight end.
Hayden Hurst,
but he hasn't really shown much either. Matt Ryan usually gets his 300 yards and a couple of picks. He's just a gunslinger.
He's a stat patter.
Yeah. He's still the
number. Ryan is kind of becoming a pariah.
Yeah, even though the crap performance he turned in yesterday, I mean, he's still the number 11 quarterback in fantasy football. So
I'm starting to like these stat patterns. Like I always would think of him as like a Matt Stafford. Like, you know, they'll take their 7-9 season, but they'll get, you know, their 300 yards and a couple touchdowns, even if it's with 3 picks.
Hey, it's fantasy football. It don't matter if they win or lose. All right, you know, we love stat patterns in fantasy football.
Jameis Winston last year, wasn't he he was like a top 10 fantasy QB.
Oh, yeah.
30 picks, 30 TDs.
Yeah. I think Matt Ryan is on that same train. Mm-hmm. Well, and for that matter, maybe Carson Wentz, although Wentz came back from the dead this week. Speaking of the dead, I wonder if they're even going to play the Buffalo at Tennessee game. The Titans are still dealing with some COVID issues. I think they haven't had any new players test positive.
I just 2 days in a row, no positive tests. I was just reading before we were starting the show that they're going to be allowed to open their facility tomorrow.
Well, I know there was an investigation to see if anybody broke the COVID rules.
It's got to be, right? Because
somebody had to do that.
Because
someone did it.
Well, yeah, because just look at how it's gone. Take the Titans out of it. It's been like a player here, a player there, a player.
Someone would have to get some food.
Yeah, and Tennessee is the only team where a quote unquote outbreak has happened. Yeah, a protocol was broken somewhere. So someone's getting in trouble for this one.
Yeah, it almost jeopardized the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Things look pretty grim. When I went to bed Saturday night with that false positive, I thought it was going to be a house of cards. But, hey, we live to play another week. We take it week by week and case by case. But how about Josh Allen with those Buffalo Bills?
Oh, my flyer pick that has been carrying one of my money teams. I picked him before I picked my defense in the draft, and he is just he's been locked in as a starter since week 2, and I haven't looked back.
Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
New home.
Yeah, the move to Buffalo has definitely benefited him. But that's all you want on the Bills, right? There's no one else that you're calling a starter.
Zach Moss is injured. I don't think you want anybody in that running game.
And the Titans
get in there.
And then the Titans, it's Henry.
Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Buffalo defense isn't bad.
That's true.
And then on the Tennessee side of the ball, you got a well-rested Derrick Henry.
Johnny Smith.
Defense. Corey Davis.
Bench player. Maybe A.J. Brown will come back. Probably not, because we may have heard about it, but then again, they've had other issues. I mean, really, and then Jonnu Smith, the tight end, and then that's really it as far as people you're putting in your lineup. Raiders Chiefs. This will be a good game this year.
I guess you're right.
Although, I mean, the Chiefs are still going to win, but it's
not impressed with the Vegas defense.
Yeah,
their offense is overperformed. Derek Carr actually looks like an NFL quarterback this year, so kudos to Gruden for getting him fixed. Ruggs is, I think, on the shelf, injured. Another rookie out. Darren Waller is a must-play, obviously.
Mm-hmm. So is Josh Jacobs.
Best weapon on that team, and Josh Jacobs. That's probably about it.
Mm-hmm.
For the Vegas offense. Kansas City, you got, obviously, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, the usual suspects, and then if you're desperate, you can take your chance on hitting a lottery ticket with either Mecole Hardman or Robinson or one of those guys.
I think that might be the move because if you have Devontae Adams bye week this week, I think I might be just spinning the wheel on the Chiefs wide receiver 3.
By the way, you've seen the Chiefs defense out there in a couple of waiver wires.
Yeah, why not?
Cardinals Jets.
Yeah, speaking of a defense that let me down, that Arizona defense got a -1. Thanks, Cardinals.
They're playing the Jets this week. I would not drop them.
Yeah, and
yeah.
If you guys recall, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself and I should save this for later, but I picked my bold prediction, Carolina over Arizona.
And the Brownies won for me.
Yes, but we'll talk about that at the end, but I mean, Kyler Murray's a must start.
Yeah, so it's DeAndre Hopkins.
Kenyon Drake dead to me, killing me. I'd actually consider picking up Edmonds. I think they're going to have to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
Edmonds looks a lot more electric when he has the football. I don't know what happened to the Kenyon Drake that we saw at the end of last season, but he's checked out. So if you're a Drake owner, you might want to look at Edmonds if he's available on waivers. We've already unequivocally agreed no Jets.
Yeah. No, if you're starting a Jet, you're in trouble. You're in last place if you're
Cardinals
starting a Jet.
lose this week.
Yeah.
I won't be picking that as a bold prediction. I think Arizona will bounce back. And then we got the Battle of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Eagles, Steelers. Steelers will be a heavy favorite at home off of an unplanned bye week. How convenient for them. And Philly coming off that big win all the way out San Francisco, having to go on the road again, albeit closer to home, still a road game. Philly, I would say Hurts, but he was a letdown last week. Who knows? Nobody wide receiver of any note. Alice Goddard still hurt.
Greg Ward
is about it. Miles Sanders and Ertz are the two Eagles that I would even consider.
Yeah.
And then Pittsburgh Steelers, you're going to start James Conner. Maybe
Juju.
Rob, maybe Juju, DeAndre. Pittsburgh defense for sure. I'll be rooting for Philly in this one, but my heart will be with Philly. My brain says Pittsburgh.
Yeah, understood. I'm a Lions fan. I'm familiar with the mindset.
And speaking of the mindset, the Washington football team is going to have their hands full with the Los Angeles Rams this week.
Are they, though? The Rams don't look – they're 3-1.
They cooled off.
To me, they are the worst-looking 3-1 team.
Yeah, but the Washington football team is not playing well. I'm hearing a lot of rumblings that this is probably going to be Dwayne Haskins' last week to show something. If he doesn't have a good game this week, they're going to probably go back to Kyle. Is it Kyle Allen, I think? I think Kyle Allen, the guy that played for Ron Rivera in Carolina. Yeah. I think he's waiting in the wings, and I think this is the week that, if Haskins is going to have to put up or shut up, I think this is his last chance, and maybe they'll rise to the occasion. But again, with Washington, it's McLaurin is probably the only guy you're starting. Although Antonio Gibson actually did have a respectable week last week, I believe.
Yeah, if you're hurting at flex, you could look at him.
If he's in your starting lineup, you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Rams, it's what? It's Cooper Kupp, it's Robert Woods,
and then you got what? Three Rams running backs, and you have to try to guess which one's the running back of the week. No, thank you.
And the Rams seem
done
to
with Malcolm Brown, done with Darrell Henderson, and now you got Cam Akers in the fold.
And then tight end too. 1 week it's Higbee, 1 week it's Gerald Everett.
I'm still kind of partial to Higbee there, but I get what you're saying. So,
and then Jared Goff, you're not nobody I know starting Jared Goff.
No, I have him as my backup quarterback in a few leagues, but I picked him up on waivers or as a free agent like a week or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's available in a lot of leagues, and that's because he's very inconsistent.
Yeah. Bengals and Ravens. Ooh.
Division matchup.
Feel sorry for you, Cincinnati.
Looks like Lamar Jackson.
Every Raven ever.
But Lamar Jackson was back to his normal self after that subpar performance against the Chiefs when he only had 97 yards passing.
Mm-hmm.
Had a pretty good day this past week, and I think he'll have a good day against the Cincinnati Bengals. But I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is looking like, with every week, looking a little bit sharper, and I think he's going to be – I think he has a bright future ahead. I really do. And Joe Mixon came back from the dead last week.
Well, most points in fantasy football. Tom Brady threw 5 touchdowns.
No, people benched him.
Yeah. Tom Brady threw 5 touchdowns, and Joe Mixon still had more fantasy points than him.
Amazing.
Yeah, but as far there are only 3 people I could say I would start with confidence in this game: Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, and Joe Mixon. Everybody else,
maybe Tyler Boyd, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. He'd be a flex for me.
Absolutely no higher than a flex. Every week I want to put him in, and I'm looking at my lineup. I'm like, is he better than this guy? No.
Yeah.
Is he better than this guy? No. He's kind of like that guy that's on the periphery.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't start him, he has a decent day. And if you do start him, he does nothing.
Yeah.
He's not dependable. But he's more dependable than the dinosaur A.J. Green, who I believe is at the end of his rope.
Sporgy.
ChristopherMedia.net.
It's Wild Card Weekend, and you can follow all the action at BetOnline.net. For the first time in league history, 6 games are on the board during the opening round of the playoffs. Feature games Saturday include Indy at Buffalo and LA at Seattle. On Sunday, Chicago visits the Big Easy, while divisional rivals Cleveland and Pittsburgh square off. Check out all the action this week at BetOnline.net as the journey to Tampa gets underway. Always available online or your mobile device. Visit BetOnline.net today. Bring the game home at BetOnline.net.
Wendy's Baconator is the ultimate bacon cheeseburger that puts all other cheeseburgers to cheeseburger shame. And now we're bringing that same big bacon energy to shake up and wake up your breakfast with the Breakfast Baconator. Stacked with the fresh cracked egg, sausage, cheese, and bacon. And right now, you can get a free Breakfast Baconator with purchase in the Wendy's app. So get to Wendy's and always be baconating. We got you.
Offer available at participating U.S. Wendy's for a limited time during breakfast hours only. Offer must be redeemed via the app. Account registration required.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Sporgy.
Then you got the Houston Texans with no Bill O'Brien having been fired this week. See if they play with a little bit more fire against the Jaguars. We already talked about James Robinson. What a great find for the Jaguars. Gardner Minshew.
DJ Chark.
Chark is back, and he was very productive.
He's probably a flex.
Deshaun Watson for Houston. Will Fuller looks like he's back.
Man, how long, if you are a Deshaun Watson owner, say you're, I don't know, me, and you have him on like 3 of your 5 teams, how long do you wait this guy out? I mean,
you know what? All you can do is hope that with O'Brien gone, maybe there will be some kind of a new energy there, but I don't know, man. It's awfully tough to get over that losing D-Hop.
You could sign Antonio Brown in 3 weeks. Just saying, Houston.
Or Dez Bryant.
No.
I'd take Antonio Brown all day in that deal.
Dez Bryant.
Is any Texans your what? Deshaun Watson, David Johnson. That's it, right?
That's it. You don't mistake I made in one league where I drafted Duke Johnson instead of David Johnson.
Oops, wrong.
He's not on my roster anymore, but I did make that mistake. I have to be transparent. D. Johnson. Oh, David Johnson's still available in the 8th round. How'd that happen?
Oops.
Well, yeah, you always need somebody to when you find a good waiver pick. So he was the first to go.
Yeah. Dolphins and Niners.
I think the Niners are out for blood after last week, but I don't know. Is Jimmy G back yet?
Yes. He plans to play.
Back. Debo, Samuel. He was
Raheem.
back this week, but they said they were going to use him sparingly. They were going to break him in slowly, so maybe he'll be back at full strength this week.
Kittle.
God, could you really want to start any of these guys, though?
You're starting George Kittle?
Kittle, you're starting for sure.
But yeah, none of the guys you said.
It's the Eagles. And just remember, everybody, whoever plays the Eagles, start the tight end. They got no linebackers. I've been posting that almost every week on our Instagram and Twitter. I guess it's the Twitter account, not the Instagram, that I've been doing it. But so Pittsburgh tight end, I don't even know who it is, but it could be a 1 week streaming.
Eric
tight end.
Ebron.
There you go.
Ooh.
The ex-Lion and Colt.
And then
anyway,
the Dolphins. The only person you're starting with confidence is what? Devontae Parker?
Maybe Mike Gesicki, the tight end.
Yes, see, I am selling all my shares of Mike Gesicki this week.
Well, you might be onto something because the 49ers certainly shut down Ertz last week. So they'll probably do the same thing against Gesicki.
He had that huge breakout week his first week, and he's just been very average the next three.
Again, one thing to watch out for Miami is I think it's pretty close to being Tua time. I'm hearing he's healthy and ready to go. And, I don't know how long they're going to stick with Fitzpatrick. Might as well put the young guy in and see what he's got. That could be probably not much of a fantasy risk. But you might want to take a flyer if you're a gambler. But certainly would be fun to watch if he gets to play.
Fitzmagic is the week 5 starter, so it won't be this week.
Nope, it won't be this week, but I'm hearing that the day is coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
What I heard on Sirius XM today.
Colts and Browns, 2 teams with records I am surprised at, 3-1.
Yeah, the Browns actually looked like a good football team against Dallas, but that Dallas defense makes a lot of teams look good.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield was lighting it up. And how about OBJ back from...
Yeah, not buying it.
Best games of Brown.
1 week.
That
Indianapolis defense is quietly, I think they're the number 1 defense in football. I think
they are. They're the number one, at least the number 1 fantasy defense right now. OBJ, this is trust me, people who owned him when he was on the Giants, he'll give you 1 game a year to keep him in the conversation of he's an elite receiver, and then he'll go back to being average. He had that game last week. I'm not just like you just said it, Jack. Best game as a Brown. Like how many games has he played as a Brown? What? He's at 20 games as a Brown. It took him 20 games to have a good game. But I'm not here to rant about OBJ. But people, you're starting OBJ. You're starting Kareem Hunt.
That's bad.
Yeah, Baker is not a starter.
Jarvis Landry's not a starter either. I cut bait on him this week too. I had OBJ and Jarvis Landry on the same roster, and it was driving me nuts. So I said, I got to get rid of one of these guys. And I got rid of Landry, thankfully, because I started OBJ, and he got those big points. Yeah, I might be benching him against that Indy defense this week.
I dropped Landry a couple weeks ago. And then
it felt really good to do that.
Yeah. And then the Colts, you're starting what? Jonathan Taylor. And then that's it. T.Y. Hilton, I think.
And I picked T.Y. Hilton up. Somebody cut him, and I picked him up this week. Fortunately, I didn't start him. He got a whole 3 points, I think.
I think that person was onto something. I think T.Y.'s glory days are done.
I got a player coming off of IR this week in that league, and I think Hilton's stay on my roster is going to be a very short one.
I think the future of pass catching in Indy is Zach Pascal and Paris Campbell. I think it's.
I agree. The T.Y. Hilton there, at least for the immediate future, is on hold.
And if you're hurting for a tight end, Mo Alley Cox. Yeah.
Draft him just for the name only.
Yes. Giants and Cowboys. Oof.
Ooh, boy.
Well, at least the Cowboys will go to 2-3.
Yeah. I wonder if Dak might throw for another 500 yards against that New York secondary.
There are no Giants.
No.
We're starting.
No Jets or Giants. Just forget New York. The Big Apple's out of fantasy this week.
Yeah, the only thing in the New York uniform we're starting in fantasy is on the IR, and that's Saquon. And that's now debatable. But the Cowboys, it's what? Dak, Zeke, Amari Cooper, Dalton Schultz. Who else? C.D. Lamb could be a good flex play for you. C.D. Lamb's turned Michael Gallup into garbage, huh?
He has. I'm glad I picked up Lamb in a couple leagues.
I had him on my college fantasy football team last year. I knew that kid was going to be, because he was outscoring everyone on my team every week as far as just fantasy points. So yeah, this guy's going to be good in the pros. And so far, he's looking good.
Normally, I would say start any defense against the Giants, but not the Dallas defense.
Ooh, yeah.
Get that. That's out the window.
Broncos Patriots. Not the game it was 6 years ago, but still. Patriots should roll in this one. Broncos, what? You start Melvin Gordon?
Melvin Gordon, that may be it. Maybe Jerry Jeudy if you're desperate for a flex.
And the Patriots.
What about the Noah Fant?
He's week to week with an ankle injury.
Oh, he's hurt. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say
Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon. I was going to say Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick, dude, came out of nowhere, 6 for 7, 113 and a touchdown last week. And week before that, he had 43 yards and a touchdown. Because who got hurt? Did anybody get hurt? Yeah, Sutton got hurt, didn't he?
AJ Hamler got hurt too.
Yeah,
Hamler and Sutton are out. So I mean, there you go.
I think I'd rather have Jerry Jeudy, but
I would also have Jerry Jeudy.
What I'd really rather have is no Broncos receivers.
Yeah, the Broncos are inconsistent, and who's even playing quarterback this week? Is Locke back? Who do we got this week? We got Ripien or
I think Locke might be back this week. I was reading earlier today.
All right.
And then in New England, you got the 3 running backs, which really equals 0. But everybody's going to pick up the Damian Harris. So I guess you could take a flyer on him if you're desperate.
The only Patriot I'm starting with confidence is Julian Edelman. Yeah.
And you might want to consider Cam Newton if he's healthy, but probably best to look elsewhere until we see that's confirmed.
The night game, Vikings and Seahawks. This is another game that would have been more exciting a few years ago.
That Seattle defense is porous secondary. Yeah. I like Justin Jefferson this week. I don't like Kirk Cousins ever. Go there, but I maybe Jefferson, of course, Dalvin Cook.
Thielen.
Yep.
And then on the Seahawks side, Russell.
I don't know what happened to the Minnesota defense. They used to be a dominant defense a couple years ago, and they're just not getting it done this year.
Yeah.
So expect big points from Russell Wilson, probably the league MVP so far, at least in the NFC.
Hopefully,
if not the NFL.
Hopefully we get Tyler Lockett the ball this week.
Yeah, he had a quiet game last week.
I have him in a couple leagues, and I needed him to perform, and he did not.
I think he'll be back this week.
Chris Carson.
Metcalf.
Yeah.
Yep, everybody picked up Carlos Hyde, and what happened? Carson was right back playing. Remember how he got that bad tackle against the Dallas player? Stood his leg up, and it looked like he was going to be out for multiple weeks. So everybody picked up all his replacements, and then lo and behold, there he is.
Hey, could be worse. But yeah, and then no tight ends in this game. Monday, Chargers and Saints. Saints on Monday again. Let's see.
Saints.
Hunter Henry for the Chargers.
Yeah, Keenan Allen.
I don't know what to do about that running back situation. You're going to have no Eckler, so maybe you're going to pick up Justin Jackson.
See, but I'm not starting any of these guys, any of those guys.
I have a claim in for Kelly in a few leagues, but
I've got Joshua Kelly in several leagues, but he just hasn't shown me enough to start him. I want to see it first before.
Now, same here.
Convinced.
I got him warming a lot of bench space.
I keep hoping every week. I keep hoping this is the week he's going to come alive. I've been reading all the hype, and I haven't seen any flash yet. Is there any Chargers receivers? Keenan Allen, I guess.
Yeah. That's it. End of list.
And you got plenty of Saints to start. Kamara. You could even go with Latavius Murray, who was very productive last week, as Jack knows, after he took him out of his lineup and put him on the bench.
Hate it.
Michael Thomas coming back?
He's got the Q next to his name, but he has a number next to projected, so I have him in starting lineups.
Keep an eye on that, because if he's back, you want him in. Jared Cook, I believe, got hurt, didn't he?
He also has the big Q next to his name.
So you might want to look for an alternative there. I don't think he's going to play from what I was reading, but keep an eye on that.
Which, by
Injury
the way,
update.
By the way, Lions fans, no Jared Cook, no Michael Thomas. Still got rocked. Just saying. Sorry.
Well, the good news for the Lions fans is they're on the bye with this week. They're not going to lose. It's a rare week when you can say the Lions will not lose. I can guarantee it. And
it's true.
bye week is the 1 week. Enjoy not losing this week, Lions fans.
Yeah, and and it's Monday game. You don't want to start either quarterback. Drew Brees not having a great year.
Yeah. And I have Brees as my backup in a couple leagues. And one league I had Brees and Carson Wentz as my quarterbacks. And I picked up Justin Herbert. Who would figure that he would be the best of those three?
Yeah, right. Yeah, Brees is like a quarterback 20 on the year right now. That is very undrew. Well, he's getting old.
Yeah, I think this might be the swan song for him. I think age has caught up to him. I think this is could be it. Could be Taysom Hill time next year in New Orleans.
That's true. Well, no, Jameis Winston's the backup there right now.
Oh, that could be interesting.
Famous Jameis.
Yeah. So bold predictions. What were the bold predictions last week, Jerry? You said you wrote them down.
Yours was the Raiders over Buffalo, which did not happen.
Wah, wah.
I picked the Panthers over the Cardinals, which did happen. And Jack, got to give him credit, he picked the Browns over the Cowboys.
Wow.
So we went 2 for 3 on bold predictions last week. I'll continue to write them down. I'm going to even go back to the previous episodes because I know I've picked at least 2 other picks. I think I'm doing pretty good in these. Starting to get more fun. But so let's see. Chris, we'll start with you. I'm putting you on the spot, huh?
Let's see here. Vikings over the Seahawks.
That's a bold one.
Because that Seahawks defense likes to let some points by.
They do. I just don't know if I could go against Russell Wilson at home, even with no crowd.
So that's bold.
That's bold. Jack?
All right. Well, Justin Herbert, as he is balled out, has 3 straight L's to his name. Not anymore. He's picking up his first NFL W in the Superdome on Monday Night Football.
Oh, wow.
Against the Saints.
That's a bold one. Let me see what I got left here. I was going to pick Carolina over Atlanta, but I don't think that's a bold prediction anymore. Atlanta just looks like a train wreck. Oh, let's see. Boy, not really much else I can find here. Oh, man, I can't do that. I don't think Jacksonville and Houston, they're about even, so that I can't really pick any of that. Let's see. I can't pick Washington over the Rams. All right. I'm going to be the homer of all homers here, and I know this is a heart over the brain. Everything says that this could never happen, but I'm going to pick the Philadelphia Eagles to shock the Steelers.
Hey, you never know.
Eagles lead the league in sacks, and they stop the run pretty well. So
they have a pretty good defense. So what the heck?
Except for linebackers.
Struggling to find any other game. So, you know what? The Eagles do have a pretty good record against the Steelers. It's a matter of fact, I think if the game was in Philadelphia, I think Pittsburgh hasn't won there in a long, long time. I remember that being a trend. But the game's in Pittsburgh, so that is probably the boldest of the 3 bold predictions. But I'm going to stick with it. See what happens.
All right. Well, there you go. Week 5 coming up. Recommended the waiver wires. We previewed them. It always goes so fast, but until then, you can find us on Twitter at the Fantasy Hack. We're there on Sunday morning. You can ask us questions. Also the Fantasy Hack at ChristopherMedia.net. If you'd like to email those questions, go to ChristopherMedia.net. Click on the Amazon banner if you'd like to help us out without paying anything extra, or if you just have to pay something extra. You can click on the PayPal button. Throw us a couple bucks that way. And check us out on Amazon Music. They're in the podcast game now, so you can check us out there, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker.com, the IR Radio app, Stitcher, anywhere there's a podcast. You can check us out.
Hey, And if I can cross promote, if you're a craft beer fan, check out the Beer Nuts podcast.
Yeah? Little podcast JR and I do together. But I've just jumped back into Phrase. It's every other week now, JR?
Yeah, for now.
Yep.
And this week will be particularly fun, shotting a beer too.
Yeah, especially it's getting in October. It's getting cold now. A little something extra to keep you warm. When the jacket's done. You got to be warm on the inside too, not just the outside. So yeah, check us out on the Beer Nuts podcast, and set your lineups. Thanks for listening. See you next week.
Good luck this week, everyone. Get the dub.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.